You remember the sound of the screen door. Not the way it looked, the way it sounded. That spring-loaded slam that meant you were outside now, and the whole day was yours. The aluminum frame rattling in the door jamb. The way it echoed off the garage and faded into the street. If you grew up in America in the 1970s or early 80s, that sound was a starting gun. You heard it in June, and you did not stop hearing it until September. Your feet hit warm concrete, the smell of cut grass and someone's charcoal grill 3 houses down. A garden hose coiled in the driveway, already hot to the touch by 9 in the morning. And somewhere out there, beyond the hedgerow and the stop sign and the creek you were not supposed to cross, was a whole day with absolutely nothing scheduled and no one watching. People talk about life before the internet like it was simpler. That's not quite it. It was physical. You felt the whole day on your skin. It's a Saturday in July, somewhere around 1978. You are 10 years old, and you have been awake for exactly 11 minutes. The television is on in the living room. 3 channels, maybe 4 if the antenna is cooperating. Your cereal is turning the milk a color that does not exist in nature, and you are watching a cartoon you've already seen twice. You do not care. There is no menu, no scroll, no algorithm deciding what comes next. Whatever is on is what you are watching, and in 30 minutes it will be something else, and you will watch that too. The phone on the wall rings, and your mother stretches the cord around the corner into the hallway, talking in that low voice that means it's her sister, and it's going to be a while. One phone for the entire family, and it stayed home. You did not take it with you. You did not even think about it. If someone called and you were not there, they called back. That was the system. It worked for decades. Your mother appears in the kitchen doorway. She's got the mop-y bucket. You know what that means. Everybody out. She doesn't say where to go. She doesn't ask what your plans are. She doesn't hand you a phone or a tracker or a schedule. She points at the screen door and you and your brother go through it, and that spring slams behind you, and you are free. If you grew up like this, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. The first stop is always the same. You get on your bike. Not a mountain bike, not a road bike with 21 gears. A bike with a banana seat, or a 10-speed with the handlebars wrapped in electrical tape because the rubber grips fell off 2 summers ago. You ride it standing up because the seat is too high or too low and you never bothered to fix it. You ride to your friend's house. You don't call first. You don't text. You just show up. You lean your bike against the side of their garage and you knock on the back door, and if they're not home, you ride to the next kid's house, and the next. Until you've got 3 or 4 of you, and now you're a pack. That word gets used a lot when people talk about this. We ran in packs, like something between a family and a wolf den. Every neighborhood had them. Ages mixed together because there weren't enough kids on any single block to be picky about it. A 12-year-old and 2 9-year-olds and somebody's little sister who was 7 and always 3 steps behind, but nobody sent her home. Your parents didn't organize this. There were no play dates, no group chats between mothers. You found each other the way water finds a crack in the sidewalk. You just showed up where the other kids were. And then you disappeared. That's the part that's hardest to explain to anyone born after 1995 or so. You left your house in the morning and your parents had no way to reach you. No phone in your pocket, no location dot on a screen. Your mother might have known the general direction you rode off in, and she might have known the name of one of the kids you were with, and that was it. That was the entire safety net. If she needed you, she stood on the porch and yelled your name. If you were too far to hear it, she waited. And you came home when you came home. We biked miles, not around the block. Miles. Through neighborhoods you'd never been to, past the gas station and the church parking lot and the drainage ditch that ran behind the shopping center, past the house with the above-ground pool where sometimes kids you didn't even know waved you in, and you swam for an hour and left without learning anyone's last name. One afternoon you rode so far you didn't recognize a single street, and you sat on the curb for a minute with your heart going fast until you smelled the bakery on 5th and knew exactly which way was home. You knew every shortcut, every gap in every fence, every hill worth coasting down with your feet off the pedals. You knew which yards had dogs. You knew which houses had a man who'd yell at you for cutting through. You knew where the creek was shallow enough to cross without getting your shoes wet, and where it was deep enough to catch crawdads if you wanted to waste an hour doing that. And sometimes you did. The heat was different when you were a kid. You didn't think about it. You drank from whatever hose was closest, and the water tasted like rubber and copper and summer, and it was the best water you ever had in your life. Your shirt was soaked through by noon, your knees were grass-stained or mud-caked or both, and nobody cared because that's what knees were for. There was a kid on our street who had a tire swing, not a store-bought playset. A tire on a rope hung from an oak tree by somebody's dad, who probably did it in about 15 minutes and never thought about liability or weight limits, or whether the branch could hold 4 kids at once. It held 4 kids at once. It held 4 kids at once for years. Lunch was whatever you could find. You went home or you ate at somebody else's house and their mom gave you a sandwich without asking any questions. Peanut butter on white bread. A glass of Kool-Aid mixed so strong it stained your lips red for the rest of the afternoon. Maybe a popsicle from the freezer, the kind that came in a box of 100 and cost almost nothing and turned your tongue blue. You learned what other families were like by what they put on their table. Some houses had Wonder Bread. Some had that rough brown bread your mom called healthy and you called cardboard. Nobody asked about allergies. Nobody checked with your mother first. You ate what was there, and you said thank you, and you went back outside. The afternoon stretched. That's another thing that's gone. The actual physical sensation of a summer afternoon that wouldn't end. 3 o'clock felt like it lasted a week. The asphalt shimmered. The cicadas screamed from the trees so loud you stopped hearing them until someone mentioned it. You could start a baseball game in a vacant lot with no umpire and no uniforms, and play until someone hit the ball into the Henderson's yard and Mr. Henderson kept it. Then you did something else. Catch lightning bugs, dam the creek with rocks and sticks, dig a hole for no reason. Climb a tree so high you could see the water tower and feel the branch bending under you, and really know that you were responsible for what happened next. Build a fort in the woods out of plywood scraps and feel like you'd constructed something permanent and important. It was never permanent. It was always important. There were rope swings over creeks, ramps built from scrap plywood and cinder blocks that launched your bike into the air and your stomach into your throat. Once in a while, somebody got hurt badly enough that the whole block went quiet for a minute. Then the kid got up, or cried, or walked home holding a wrist at a funny angle, and the rest of you kept playing because that was also just part of it. There were games you invented on the spot with rules that changed every 10 minutes because somebody was losing. Arguments that got settled by somebody going home and coming back 20 minutes later, like nothing happened, because nothing had. Nobody called it independence. It was just what a Saturday felt like when adults weren't standing inside it. If you had $1, you rode to the corner store. the one with the screen door and the bell that rang when you opened it. The floor was dirty linoleum, and the air conditioning hit you like a wall after 2 hours in the sun. Candy bars were a quarter. A bottle of pop was 35 cents. You could stand in front of the candy rack for 10 full minutes deciding, and the man behind the counter didn't rush you because he had the same 10 minutes you did and nowhere else to be. It wasn't the brands. It wasn't the names on the wrappers. It was being 10 years old in a cold little store, trying to decide what kind of sugar your dollar would become. That's 1970s childhood nostalgia. Not a list. A feeling. Somebody's older brother had a boombox, or an 8-track player in a car that didn't run anymore, parked in the driveway like furniture. You sat on the hood and listened to the same tape 3 times because nobody had the money to buy another one, and nobody needed to. Your dad probably got home around 5:30. You heard the car before you saw it. That particular engine sound that meant dinner was soon, and the rules were about to tighten slightly. Not much. Just enough that you came inside, washed your hands, sat at a table with your family, and ate a meal that somebody cooked on a stove. The television might be on in the other room, but nobody was looking at it because the food was in front of you and the people you lived with were talking. If you remember sitting at that table, you remember the sound of ice in glasses, forks on plates, your father asking your brother about something, and your mother saying your name when you were reaching for seconds before everyone had firsts. After dinner, the neighborhood came back to life. This was the golden hour. The light went amber, the shadows got long, and the air cooled just enough that you could run again without drowning in sweat. Kick the can, ghost in the graveyard, flashlight tag if somebody had a flashlight and it was getting dark enough. You heard kids yelling 3 streets over, a screen door slamming somewhere you could not see, somebody's dad lighting a citronella candle on the patio, that waxy chemical smell mixing with charcoal and freshly cut lawn. On summer evenings, it felt like every block in America had kids somewhere on it. Down by the creek, behind a garage, 3 streets over, out of sight but never really far. You could hear them if you listened, screen doors and bicycle tires and mothers calling names into the dark. The streetlights were the clock. When they came on, you went home. Every kid in America knew this, not because someone wrote it down, but because every mother in America said the same sentence. Be home when the streetlights come on. You pushed it. Of course you pushed it. You watched the sky turn pink and then purple, and you watched the first streetlight flicker on at the end of the block, and you played for 5 more minutes, because 5 more minutes was the most valuable currency in the world when you were 10. And then you ran home. The screen door slammed behind you again, but different now. Softer, the night version. Your feet were black on the bottom. Your mosquito bites were already starting to itch, and your hair smelled like outside. A smell that does not have a name, but every parent recognized. Your mom ran the bath. Or you took a shower standing in a tub with a curtain that stuck to your arm. The water turned brown at your feet from a day you could not entirely account for. You put on a shirt that was too big for you because all your pajamas were too big for you, and you sat on the couch and watched whatever was on because you were too tired to care what it was. A box fan hummed in the hallway, pulling warm air through the house. Your skin smelled like soap and sunburn. The house had a sound at night. Every house did. The refrigerator cycling on and off, a faucet dripping somewhere, the creak of the floor when your dad walked to the kitchen for a glass of water. These were the sounds that meant everything was where it was supposed to be. If it was a weekend, maybe your family drove somewhere. The drive-in. a relative's house 2 towns over, a Dairy Queen where your dad ordered the same thing every time, and your mom got a small vanilla cone, and you got a dilly bar because a dilly bar was the best thing money could buy. Or maybe a roller rink where the music was too loud and the carpet smelled like feet and popcorn, and you held on to the wall for the first 3 laps until your ankles figured out what they were doing. The ride home is the memory I want to sit with for a minute. It is dark. You are in the back seat. The windows are cracked, and the night air is coming in, and it smells like fields and pavement and something sweet you cannot name. The radio is on low. Your parents are talking in the front seat in those quiet voices adults use when they think you are asleep. Maybe you are asleep. Maybe you are in that perfect space between awake and gone, where the streetlights pass over you in waves through the windshield, one after another, like a slow heartbeat made of light. Your brother is leaned against the window on the other side. His mouth is open. He is out. You can feel the vinyl seat sticking to the back of your legs and the vibration of the road through the floorboard. And you are so safe, you do not even think to name it. You just feel the road under you, your parents' voices up front, and the lights moving across your face. You will not have a word for what this was for another 30 years. You will just remember the lights. And then the car stops and the engine ticks, and your dad opens the back door and lifts you out. The cold air hits you for 1 second, and then you are inside, and then you are in your bed, and the sheets are cool. And the house is quiet, and somewhere far away a dog is barking, and you're gone. That was a Saturday. That was childhood. Not every Saturday. Not a special one. Just an ordinary one that felt like it would repeat forever. But something changed. It didn't happen all at once. It started small. It started with the television. In 1978, your TV got 3 channels, and they signed off at midnight with the national anthem and a test pattern. By 1985, you had cable, 40 channels, then 60. Cartoons didn't end at noon anymore. They ran all day, then all night. For the first time in American childhood, there was always a reason to stay inside. The screen door stopped slamming as often because the living room got more interesting than the street. But you still went outside. Cable wasn't enough to kill it. Then the fear arrived. In 1981, a 6-year-old named Adam Walsh was abducted from a Sears store in Hollywood, Florida. His father went on to create a television show that ran for 11 years and opened every episode with photographs of missing children. In 1984, missing kids started appearing on milk cartons in kitchens across America. Every breakfast, right next to the cereal, a child's face staring at you with a date and a city. The danger wasn't suddenly everywhere, but for the first time, it felt like it was in every kitchen. Parents who had sent their kids out with nothing but a screen door slam and to be home by dark now started asking where they were going, then started driving them there, then started staying to watch. The pack didn't die overnight, but it thinned. Then came the schedule. Sometime in the late 1980s, a new idea took hold. Unstructured time wasn't just unstructured, it was wasted. A kid on a bike in a vacant lot wasn't learning anything, wasn't building a college application, wasn't getting coached or measured or ranked. Organized soccer replaced the pickup game. Tutoring replaced the long afternoon. Playdates replaced showing up at the back door unannounced. Every hour got a purpose, and the purpose was always preparation for something that hadn't happened yet. An afternoon stopped being something you wandered into and became something adults had already decided the point of. The Kool-Aid at somebody else's kitchen table, the crawdads in the creek, the 10 minutes in front of the candy rack. Those hours weren't wasted. They were the hours that taught you how to be a person, how to negotiate with other kids without a referee, how to get lost and find your way back, how to be bored long enough that your brain did something it had never done before, which is the thing we used to call imagination and now call a productivity problem. And then the screen arrived. Not the television, the one in your pocket. The one that made it possible for a parent to know where their child was at every second of every day, and made it impossible for a child to disappear into an afternoon the way you disappeared into one in 1978. The one that replaced the creek and the candy store and the boombox on the hood of a dead car with an infinite scroll that never signs off and never shows a test pattern and never sends you outside because the show is over. The screen door doesn't slam anymore because there's nothing on the other side of it that competes with what's on the screen. And the kids who might have gone through it are tracked so precisely that the beautiful accident of a 10-year-old on a bike 3 miles from home with no plan and no phone and no idea what happens next has become something closer to a parenting failure than a childhood. That's what happened to growing up before the internet. Cable moved entertainment indoors. Fear moved supervision closer. The schedule moved purpose into every empty hour. And the phone sealed the door shut. If you ever wondered why growing up changed so much, that's the answer. It wasn't one thing. The freedom wasn't taken in one moment. It leaked out over 20 years through a series of decisions that each made perfect sense and together made childhood something you prepare for instead of something you live. That's what this channel finds. The one thing that changed. The moment when something you thought would last forever quietly didn't. If you feel like this version of America is worth remembering out loud, stay with us. We're not letting these Saturdays go quietly. If you remember the weight of a bike leaning against a garage, if you remember Kool-Aid so strong it turned your lips red, if you remember your mother's voice calling your name at dusk from a porch, you can still picture with your eyes closed. Send this to someone who was in your pack. They remember too. Your dad probably doesn't talk about those years much. His generation built every Saturday you just remembered. And what they got in return is a story almost nobody tells. That story is sitting right behind this one. But tonight, close your eyes. The streetlights are on. The screen door is waiting. We'll be back with another Saturday you remember.